friends, it's Shuba. Welcome back to my channel and happy Pride Month. I cannot believe that it is already June and we are halfway into this year and almost getting ready for the second half. It's crazy. I've had such a good first half of the year, from starting this YouTube channel to running a half marathon, going to Vegas, winning some money, losing some money, celebrating my 1-year wedding anniversary, and traveling to Portland. I am very much looking forward to the second half of the year. I thought it would be fun to look back at all of the books that I read this first half of the year, so January through June, and answer some questions from this mid-year book tag. Now, these questions are from Katie Whitrook, and I will link her YouTube channel down below. You probably already know who she is, but I got these questions from her because she recently did a mid-year book tag, and I really enjoyed watching her answers, so I hope you enjoyed this video. The first question is, best book you've read so far in 2024, and that has to be Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. This is an absolutely beautiful story about an accidental pregnancy turned into friends to lovers, and normally I'm not a big fan of those pregnancy trope stories, but this book was so sweet. It is such a sweet story, and that's why I really liked it. There's no drama, there's no bullshit, it's just happy and lovely. It is just such a lovely story, and I love the ending, and I highly recommend you read this story too. But this isn't a recommendations video. The next question is best sequel of 2024, and I'm going to give you one that is for romance and then another for fantasy. Romance would be Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I truly loved all 3 of her books, but this sequel is fantastic. I mean, I know it's the only sequel of Part of Your World series, but I digress. This is such a sweet story about Brianna and Jacob, who end up getting to know each other, and they are so lovable of characters and relatable, and I think that's what I really like about it. Abby Jimenez does such a good job of making us feel for the characters, and she brings emotions to life, and that's why I love this story. The fantasy is Legendary by Stephanie Garber. This is a sequel in the Caraval trilogy. I had such a fun time getting into this set of stories and getting into the world of Caraval. It is so magnificent and magical. The reason why I really enjoyed this sequel specifically is because I love our main character, Donatella. She is spunky, she is smart, she loves adventure and doing wild things, she is quirky, and I also love the start of her romantic relationship in this story. The next question is new releases that I have not read yet. The first one being Blue Sisters by Coco Mellors. I have had this story for quite some time now. This was actually an arc that I was provided from NetGalley, but I never actually got around to reading it. I think I'm a little nervous to read the story just because I read Cleopatra and Frankenstein and I wasn't disappointed, but the ending really upset me and I didn't like it. So I think that's why I'm a little nervous to read the story, but I do want to read it. The next book that I haven't read yet but want to, that's a new release, is Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. Ali Hazelwood got me into reading romance. I read her feminist rom-coms and absolutely fell in love with them. They were so fun and fresh and nothing that I'd read before, and I love the idea of powerful women in STEM and just powerful women in general. So I really like Ali Hazelwood as a writer, and I fell in love with Bride. I thought it was such a fun paranormal romance. I'm looking forward to reading Not in Love because this is a new and even spicier feminist rom-com. The last story that I'm going to talk about that I want to read and I haven't yet is Wild Love by Elsie Silver. This is book 1 in the Rose Hill series, I believe. I have never read any of her stories before, but I recently read Done and Dusted by Lila Sage and I liked the cowboy romance, so I want to try cowboy romance from a different author. The next question is most anticipated releases for the second half of the year, and I have 2 to mention. The first being A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana. I loved The Secret Society of Irregular Witches by her, and it was such a sweet, cozy story, so I can't wait to read this second story. And then I also have to mention The Sky on Fire by Jen Lyons. This is a fantasy story that has to do with dragons. It is not out yet. I did recently just receive the ARC from NetGalley, so I'm looking forward to picking that up. The next question is biggest surprises that I have for the books that I read. Now I have 3 that I want to talk about. The first one being The Vegetarian by Han Kang. If you've watched any of my other videos, you probably know that I was very, very disappointed in this story. This was a book that I was really excited to read because I heard it's very much like The Night Bitch, but this was so bad. I didn't know what was going on. I tried to finish it with an audiobook. It's such a short book, but I don't even know what I was reading. I did not like it. Another big surprise for me was Powerless. I read this in June, so you'll get my full review in my June wrap-up video, but I had such high expectations for this story because I've heard it's much like Hunger Games. I've heard it's the new romantasy to read, and I was bored the first 200 pages, which is a big reason why I was surprised. I thought it was going to be quick, jam-packed, and fun, and just really keeps you going, but it was a little slow for me to the start. That's why I was surprised. Last, Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Mellors. I know I mentioned this in the previous question, but the reason why I was surprised was just from the ending. I didn't like it. The next question is my new favorite authors, and I have 2 that I would like to mention. The first being our queen, Abby Jimenez. I absolutely have devoured her Part of Your World series, and I need to pick up and read her backlog, and I will be doing that. I just have other books that I own that I'm trying to read first. And then the second one being Naina Kumar. She wrote Say You'll Be Mine, and it is such a sweet, sweet story, and I absolutely loved it. The reason why she is going to be a auto buy for me and one of my favorite authors because I love the story, first of all, and then second of all is that she is a South Asian author, and I would like to support my fellow South Asian queens. The next question is newest fictional crush, and I have to say it is Justin from Just for the Summer. Justin is sweet, he is reliable, he is caring, he's also very goofy, a little on the quieter side, but I absolutely love him so, so much. The way he treats and cares for Emma is so sweet, and we need that in every guy, truly, especially the scenes where she gets sick. Oh my gosh, it was so, so sweet. I like him a lot. The next question is a book that made you cry. I recently just finished The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston, and I read it not knowing what it was really going to be about, and I gotta say, tears. It was so sad, but so good. Just the ending was sad. The whole story and the plot was really fun and unique and different, and I really enjoyed it, but also a tearjerker for sure. A book that made you happy, and for me it is To Have and to Heist by Sarah Desai. Sarah Desai is an Irish Indian author, which is very, very fun, but I gotta say that I kind of just bought this because she's a Indian author, and I read the back cover and I thought it was just very spunky and fun and funny. I would say that this book is very much like Ocean's 8 meets The Mindy Project meets The Wedding Planner. It is goofy, there's a thriller aspect to it, there's a wedding involved. It's just a really fun book, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. The next question is a beautiful book that you bought or have received, and I'm going to share one for both. I received this book as a gift from Riverhead Books. I recently just finished it. It is The Great Reclamation by Rachel Hang. This is a magical realism story about a boy who lives in coastal Singapore. He grows up in the 20th century, and eventually one day he discovers a magical island, and the story kind of goes from there, which is why you get the magical aspect of the historical fiction. I really enjoyed the story, but I honestly enjoyed the cover even more. The second book that I want to share that I think is beautiful is Chlorine by Jade Song. I recently received this book from myself. I bought it for myself from Powell's bookstore in Portland when Mark and I went, but this cover is stunning, and I believe this is a story about a girl, a swimmer, who slowly turns into a mermaid. I hope I'm right, but we'll find out when I read it. It's just really pretty though. Hence why I chose them. The next question is, what books do you want to reread this year? I would have to say that eventually, not this year, maybe this year, I want to reread Emily Henry's other stories. I've read them all before, but I want to do a reread for them. But currently at this time, I am reading the Expanse series by James S.A. Corey. It is a sci-fi space opera. It's so much fun. There are 9 books total. I've read books 1 through 6, but I recently received all 9 of them, so I'm doing a reread so I can finish the series finally for myself and then watch the TV show. The next question is books you've been putting off, and I have quite a few. Let's run through them quickly. The first is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, and then the sequel, this is the Alex Stern series. There's 2 of them out right now. I've actually started reading this before, and I got maybe halfway through and then I stopped because I didn't know what was happening. So I set this down and I'm hoping to pick it back up, and I hope I'm not bored by it. My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa Moshfegh. This is a book I've had for a really long time, like a very long time, and I haven't picked this up yet because I'm afraid I'm not gonna like it. It's gotten a lot of good reviews, and I mostly just bought it because someone recommended it to me. I'm just a little nervous, but I should face my fears and read this book. Now this next book is a hefty one. A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. I was supposed to read this in June this month, but haven't gotten around to it, and I probably won't this month. I have just heard that you need to be in the right headspace to read this. There's a lot of trigger warnings. It's just very heavy of a story, literally and figuratively. I am just not ready to read this. I also want to give it the time and respect that it deserves, since I've just heard it's fantastic, but I'm also nervous. Emma by Jane Austen. I was supposed to read this book this month, but didn't get around to it for a book club. I'm nervous to read this story because this is going to be one of my first classics in a very, very, very long time. And I recently, last month, read The Emma Project by Sonali Dev, and I really did not like it at all. So I'm just worried that I'm not gonna like this book because I read this book, and I know that that's not fair. This last one that I keep putting off is The Trial by Kafka. I picked this book up randomly at Barnes & Noble. I have zero idea why. I have never read a book by Kafka before, and I just keep putting it off because I don't know. I don't know why it's on my bookshelf. I don't know why I have it. I know I should try to read it. I don't know. The next question is a book you enjoyed with mixed reviews, and it is Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver. This is a romance story, but it is very, very gory. This is a story about serial killers killing other serial killers, and there are just mixed reviews on it. People either really, really like it or people just don't like it at all, and I was lucky to be one of the ones that really enjoyed the story. I thought it was so different and very fun, and I understand that the whole plot is a little chaotic, but the banter and the romance was really fun for me, and it's just a story that I've never read before. It's very much like Dexter, but make it romance. The next question is a series that you want to finish before the end of the year, and I have quite a few, so I'm just going to list them rather than getting them from my bookshelf to share. The Expanse series by James S.A. Corey. I do want to finish those before the end of the year. I am on book 2, as in I need to start book 2. The Bloodsworn Saga by John Gwynne. The first one is Shadow of the Gods, and the second one is Hunger of the Gods. I know the third one is going to come out. It's the final book, and I believe it comes out this year or next year. The Shepherd King duology by Rachel Gillig. I've had these for a while. The first one is One Dark Window, and the second one is Two Twisted Crowns. I've heard nothing but good things, and maybe that's why I'm a little nervous. I definitely am excited to read this series, and I think I'm gonna pick them up in the fall. Moasai by E.J. Mello. This is a trilogy: Song of Forever Rains, Dance of a Burning Sea, Symphony of a Deadly Throne, and I picked these up on a whim at a local bookstore because I thought the covers were pretty. It's a romantasy. Skyland series by Kennedy Ryan. She is supposed to be a beautifully well-written writer for romance, and her 2 books that I want to read are Before I Let Go and This Could Be Us. I do own both of them. Then we have Edinburgh Nights by T.L. Huchu. He wrote The Library of Dead, which is the first book, and the second one is Our Lady of Mysterious Ailments. I do not own the third one, but I do want to get into this story, and I'll probably read this series in October as we get into spooky season, because this has to do with just like spooky things and dead graveyards and ghosts. And then last, a series that I do want to read, and this is a series that definitely has a lot of controversy, and it is the Magnolia Parks Universe series. I have all of them. I have the UK covers, and I absolutely think they're beautiful. I love Gossip Girl so much. I love drama. I'm a big CW gal. I'm currently rewatching Winter Hill. I usually watch it once a year. I grew up watching Charmed. I've maybe seen it like 5 times. Gilmore Girls, Gossip Girl, you name it. I love drama, and I love the idea of high society drama, which is why I'm really excited, and I'm going to read those books. The last question that we have before we wrap up this video is, do you have any goals for the rest of the year? And I would say that I already finished my reading goal. My reading goal for the year was 50 books, and I surpassed that, and I've read 61 so far. So I'm in the clear. My goal, I would say, that I have is to finish the books that I own, so then I can also get more books, but also I'm not hoarding books forever. I've noticed that when someone recommends a book or I'm interested in a story that I want to read, I'll pick it up, but then I won't read it right away, and then it'll sit there for a few months, and then by the future comes, at that time I just want nothing to do with it. And I feel this way about, an example, The Secret Society by Donna Tartt, and then If We Were Villains by R.M.L. Rio. I've had these books since December and I haven't touched them. I'm probably not going to read them at all, so I'm going to do something about that and probably get rid of them, but I don't want this cycle to keep happening. So my goal is to really focus on reading the books that I want to read and focus on reading the books that I have. And the last goal that I have for myself is to just keep enjoying creating videos and uploading on YouTube. I feel like where I'm at in my life right now, I have the time to put into my YouTube channel. I have the time and capacity to upload a video once a week, and it's been really, really fun. And I've noticed a few things about myself that I have worked on, I've gotten better at, and I want to continue growing with. So I'm just hoping that for the next 6 months, I'm going to continue enjoying making videos, and in the end just enjoying reading the books that I want to read. Reading should be fun, and that's what we all want, right? We all just want to read books and have fun reading books and like books that we're reading. Those are all of my answers to the questions that Katie had in her book tag. But before I leave off this video, I want to go through and share with you my favorite book from each month, from January to June. In January, I read Night Bitch by Rachel Yoder, and I absolutely devoured and loved this story. This is a chaotic story about a woman who kind of goes crazy and turns into a dog, and it is weird in the best way. I cannot wait for the end of the year because the movie with Amy Adams is coming out, so I think I'm gonna have to do a reread before the movie comes out. My favorite book from the month of February was A Love Song for Ricky Wilde by Tia Williams. This is my first Tia Williams story, and I can confirm and say that her writing style is beautiful and magical and just sucks you into the story. I absolutely loved this story. It's about a girl, and she moves to New York to open up a flower shop, but then she ends up meeting this mysterious guy who may or may not be from a different time period. This was very unique and fun and beautiful. In March, my favorite book was A Man Called Uwe by Frederick Bachman. This is my first Frederick Bachman story, and I want to pick up some of it others, but this is a heartfelt story about a man named Uwe, and it's just about his grumpy life, and it's very character driven, and normally that doesn't do it for me, but I think I just really liked Uwe's character in general, which is why I enjoyed the story. It's a tearjerker for sure. My favorite book that I read in the month of April was Say It'll Be Mine by Nana Kumar. This is a grumpy sunshine story with a fake engagement, and I have to tell you that you will fall in love with these characters. These two characters are so fun in their interactions, and their fake dating arrangements, just, it's not cringy at all. It's just so romantic and sweet, and their banter is really fun. I also really like Nana Kumar's writing style in this story. I think it's easy to read and understand, but it has its quirky moments, which I really appreciate. I read a lot of good books in the month of May, so this was a hard one to choose for me, but my favorite book from May was Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I absolutely loved Emma and Justin, both individually but also together as a whole. They were such a perfect couple. The storyline was beautiful. I really enjoyed the plot, and it's just very quirky, just chatting on Reddit and then fake dating for the summer. And some of it might not seem realistic, because why would you choose Michigan or Minnesota over Hawaii? That's not for me to decide, but it was just a really sweet story, and I think that this is my favorite out of the 3 Part of Your World series. Definitely a series that I will reread at some point in my time, but this was just really heartfelt, and I have nothing to say that is bad. No bad things. All good vibes, all good times, the sweetest. Now for the month of June, I know we're not done with this month yet, but I already know what my favorite book for this month is going to be, and it is none other than Beach Read by Emily Henry. This is the only book that I have not read yet until now, I guess. Now I haven't caught up with all of her top 5 stories, and this is my favorite book that I read in the month of June, but also my favorite Emily Henry book. I devoured January and Gus and their relationship and their tension. It was so good. I love the concept of writer's block and forced proximity, which is really fun. I really enjoyed that. We learn a little bit more about their past, but then also they grow together in the present. And that's all I'm gonna say, because this is also not a review. You'll get my full thoughts when I do my June wrap up, but this is my favorite book for the month of June. All right, friends, that is it. That is my book tag for this mid-year, and those are the answers to my questions. This was so fun to make, and I have to say that it was really interesting to just think about all the books that I've read for the first half of the year and really just reflect on my ups and downs and what I liked and what I didn't like. I'm understanding more of the type of reader that I am. So that's really fun. It's always great to learn more about yourself, and I haven't been this passionate about something, I think, since college. So this is really great to do, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you do make a mid-year book tag, please not only tag Katie, but also tag myself so I can watch your video. I would love to see your answers to these questions, and I would love to just learn more about how the first half of the year went. I hope you have a great end of June and start of July and the rest of the year. I will see you in another video next week, next Friday. Have a good time. What? Have a good, okay, goodbye. Bye.